Who are you? Who? I really want to know. Look, that's not just a question from a very, very legendary rock band. It's a fundamental question of human existence. In this video, we're going to look at 6 tips that may help you find out who you are. Riki, give us your first one.
When I was pregnant, a lot of people would say to me, "Oh, there's no instruction manual for that one. You know, there's no instruction for those kids." And it was a common thing. I don't. Looking back on it now, it was maybe at least 7 times someone said it to me in the time that I was pregnant. So it was a significant.
It's almost one a month.
Yeah. So
it would be one a month while you're big.
Yes, while people know. Yeah. So it sort of stuck with me for a while, thinking there's no instruction book, and I'm very interested in, as you know, evolutionary biology.
Mm-hmm.
And I've thought about it a lot since then, that we kind of, not that we do have an instruction manual, but we've got a lot of knowledge and information about what makes us who we are. So we can kind of draw on our knowledge of how we've evolved to understand ourselves a bit more.
Yeah.
So I guess I'm thinking about more our biology shapes the way we might behave or the way we might believe things, and that sometimes we're unaware of it. But if we know that, and if we sort of turn to that kind of instruction manual of looking at our past and how we've evolved, it might help us to understand ourselves a bit more about what we need and how to work with what we've got, rather than kind of fight it all the time and have this sort of battle between who we are in an evolutionary sense and who we want to become, and how we can make those two things work for us, kind of thing.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Like, we don't have an instruction manual, but we've got a blueprint.
We do have a blueprint. We do know so much about how we evolved. So I guess some sort of more physical examples would be that, you know, we've always been a co-sleeping animal.
Yep.
So for our entire lives, not just when we're babies, not just when we get married, we've always needed that.
Sure
and
do.
So when you try and sort of stop that evolutionary need, you can, you know.
Yeah. And we do.
Of course, and we do,
sleep
you know.
training and all that sort
and
of
also
stuff.
people, you know, might snore, so they have to sleep in another room to make sure everybody else gets a good night's sleep. And then you've got to address why is that person snoring, you know. That's obviously something, another evolutionary thing that we've, you know, obviously.
They're part bear.
The what?
They're part bear.
Part bear, yes. So looking at something like that, or something like we'll be craving sugar.
Yep.
In an evolutionary sense, we would crave sugar because it was such a, you know, fast, great source of you know, glucose. Our brain needs it, our body needs it, but it was only available once a year.
Yep. So
we'd sort of gorge on it, and then the famine would come or the winter would come, and we'd have this nice reserve. We'd gain a little bit of weight because we've got all these extra reserves during the sort of end of summertime, and then during the winter, there's nothing. So you'd have this little reserve to survive. So those with a little bit of extra weight would survive. Mm-hmm. So, but of course now the winter never comes in our culture.
That's right, yeah.
We've got endless supply of food. So even though we're craving this, whether it's sugar or whether it's, carbs or what, you know, that's the same sort of thing, you know, it does the same thing in our bodies. We're always searching for that next hit of sugar, next hit of that feeling. So if you know that, you go, well, I'm forever going to be wanting to eat that chocolate, or forever looking at that delicious cake going, wow, I just want to eat it every day, you know, and just understand and be compassionate with yourself and empathic and go, well, I really want to eat it. And my body's telling me to eat it because it grew, you know, you've evolved that way to need to survive that way. But if I can override those things, it sort of helps to make wiser choices. Things like laziness, you know, we hate ourselves for being, oh, you know, I really should be doing this, or I should be getting out there and exercising, I should be running 2Ks, but we've never exercised before. We've only ever run when we needed to.
Yeah, we did life.
We did life, yeah. So if we understand that, of course, our body is going to want to conserve energy at all times. So the option of sitting and resting will always go, well, that's what I feel like doing, so that's what I should do. But it's we've got to understand that that's what our bodies evolved to want us to do, but we don't, in this world, don't always have to do it.
Yeah.
So just by looking at our past and looking at what...
Yeah.
So things like that I think help to just know yourself in terms of your reaction to this world.
Yeah. So the way I hear that is there is something that we call ourselves.
Yeah.
And we've got this 3D avatar, which happens to be a physical form, a human form.
Yes.
And that has certain traits.
Yes.
That you can't escape.
Yes, exactly.
No matter what you do, like, you are this thing.
Yes.
And when you said that we don't have an instruction manual, I thought of something like a wheel. A wheel actually doesn't know how to turn, right? Physics did it all for it. You throw the circular thing and it rolls down a hill. And it knows to do that. It doesn't go, what do I do now? I've got to turn. I'm a wheel. That's right. That's the difference with us humans. Yeah. I feel that it's all there. You are a little bit more complex than a wheel, but physically, everything's there. You already know what to do. You already know what to look for. Animals just know how to breed. They don't look at where did I come from books. They know what they're doing. Yeah. It's already built into us.
Yes.
So I guess, can we summarize that first point by saying, understand the body.
Yes.
Understand the history of your body. Understand your body in particular, because yours is actually different to the next person's. Even if you're the same sex, even if you're the same height, ethnicity, whatever, you've got something different. We've all got variability. That's why we look different. So maybe if you're in touch with your body very well, it might make it easier to understand yourself, understand those choices you're making.
Yeah.
I just want to extend on that as well, that society isn't built for an individual. It's built for an average. So you don't necessarily fit into all of that. Yeah. You may, and that's really, really convenient if you do. But I don't believe anybody does. We just all go, that's close enough. So I'm going to live like this because that's, it's a utilitarian way of living. We all benefit if we do that. But we all need to understand that we're kind of on average this, but for me, it's a bit over here, a bit more, and I need to do it this way. So that's a great way of starting off this discussion, to understand the physical self and how it relates to the world around you and the society around you.
How about you? What's your first?
My first tip isn't so much about finding yourself. It's more a mindset to help you find yourself. And that's, know that you're meant to be here. So it's a fundamental rule that I want everyone to first accept. So when you're going on this journey, if you are asking yourself these questions, you may be having an existential crisis. You may be wondering, do I even deserve to be here? What's the point of life? And all these big questions, and they're really important to ask and they're really important to answer. The way I see it is that if you're here, you're meant to be here. You wouldn't say, is the planet Earth meant to be here? That was created by accident as well. And if you look at the whole chain of life from the very first electron, I think his name was Steve, it became something else. And there was never only one thing. It's not possible to have one thing in existence, because that one thing has to be encased in space, and that one thing has to be in relation to another thing. An electron can't exist by itself. It needs a nucleus and, all that sort of stuff, right? So life has just been whatever it's been from the beginning, and then just continued. Stars evolved, planets evolved, all that sort of stuff. We don't ask questions about Saturn. What's the point of Saturn? Or what's the point of Jupiter? They exist because that's part of the great unfolding of the universe. It's the story of the universe. And you are part of the story of the universe, because we're no different. We came about through the processes of physics as well. So if you're asking yourself, are you meant to be here? Nothing's meant to be here, but if it's here, it's written into the story of the universe, which you're a part of. Now, your role, the difference is Saturn doesn't just get to go, I might do this tomorrow. Only you get to do that. And the thing is, Saturn can't even control its rings. It's got no power. You do. Like, with your mind, you can actually control part of the universe. You're in charge of this physical thing. Like, I can do this. No one else can make me do this. Ricky, I'm doing this with my mind. Like, that's how powerful it is. Right? Riki can't just think, move Kiwi's hands, and I go like this. It doesn't happen. She can do it for her own body, and she's in charge of this little patch of the universe here, just like I am with mine and you are with yours. So it's really important to know you are meant to have that. You don't need permission to exist, okay? You were written into the story. So you're allowed to do this. You're allowed to ask questions. You're meant to be here. The fact that you're meant to be here means you've got a purpose, and your purpose is to control this, is to control your body, control your mind. In other words, it's to be conscious. So that's the purpose. It's to be conscious. So finding yourself, that whole journey is a part of being conscious. It's really defines being conscious. You're aware that of your existence and you're questioning that existence. That's beautiful. So it's like the question is the answer. So I really want people to understand that you are meant to be here. That's the very first step. Okay. So never ever let anyone tell you you don't belong, or your birth was an accident or anything like that. You were written into the story. You're meant to be here. So once you've got that, you've got a solid foundation to find out what to do now that you're here.
I love that. We're all meant to be here. We all have a right to be here. It's all written in the story. I love that.
You were given the keys by the universe itself. Like if someone says, you were born to be my slave or something. No, you weren't. No one has that permission over you. No one gets to tell you what to do, what to believe, who to be. Okay? The universe, through the processes of the unfolding of the story, gave you the keys. You alone. No, like I said, no one can control you with their mind. Only you can. So be really, really careful and value that.
Yeah, it's as powerful as, Saturn's rings, but even more powerful in the sense, like you said, we've got that consciousness and the ability to be able to make choices.
Yeah, you're in control.
Yeah. It's beautiful.
Riki, give us your next one.
My second one is to know that there is something bigger than yourself.
Yeah.
And by focusing on that bigger rather than on the self, I think you get to learn a lot about yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree.
So focusing outwards, I'm not saying don't reflect or anything, but I find it interesting that when you look at in psychology and studies of stress levels and that sort of thing, where anxiety is when you focus on yourself, sort of inward focus, and when you look at what happens to your body with anxiety, in a sort of measured sense, they're the same. So the more you focus on yourself, the more anxiety you feel.
That's really interesting.
It is. So it makes sense then, looking back at what I said earlier about the evolutionary biology, that we're not meant to be just, oh my gosh, what did Jenny say about me or whatever, we're not, in an evolutionary sense, that wasn't a helpful way to be living.
Jenny's a gossip. Don't worry about what she thinks.
So that tells me that if we're having an anxiety response about just focusing on the self, and our body's having these chemical reactions to make us feel stressed, then to me that's a sign, well, then there's more we should be thinking about something more than just ourselves. So know that there's something bigger and focus on the bigger.
Yeah.
And whether you call that the essence of what's good, or you call it love or God or divinity, whatever that is for you, I think that is a good way to know the self.
I think that's beautiful, and I agree wholeheartedly. Yeah. The world is bigger than yourself, and you're part of that world. Embrace it.
Yeah.
Definitely.
How about you? What's your second one?
So my second tip, it's a bit of a curveball. Know your breath. So it sounds a bit silly, but when I was trying to break this down, this talk, what are really important things you need to know, I thought, start with your body. And where is your body? Well, it's the breath. Your breath is life. Without the breath, you've got nothing. Your right to this, controlling this 3D avatar, is gone. Once you lose your breath, you die. In first aid, what's the first thing you've got to do? You've got to check the airway, over the spine. I remember thinking, but we don't want to move the head, right? Because just in case there's a spinal injury. Well, if they can't breathe, then they die. So the breath is everything. And the reason why the breath is so important is because that is you. When you've got your neutral breath, I can feel my breath heightening right now talking about this. So that means I'm being taken off balance a little bit. And if you can recalibrate that breath, you can be you again. If you think about the times when you're like, I wasn't myself, or I was under pressure, this happened, what was the first thing that changed? It was your breath. Your breath sped up. It got more intense. You felt this shortening of breath in the chest. Everything's a little bit harder for you. If you can recalibrate that, you become yourself again. So finding yourself, to me, means knowing your breath, understanding your breath, and being in tune with it. So when it does happen, for example, when I roll in jiu-jitsu, I do my best to breathe as silently as possible. That one little goal just helps me think a little bit clearer. Still get smashed because I'm not that good. But hey, it's a little goal. So my tip for people is to do some sort of breath work. You go find your own thing, find out what works for you. It might be a specific kind of breathing technique. It might be meditation, whatever it is. Find something that works for you, but just know the importance of it. Try to breathe the best air you can through your nose, and that will help you keep nice and composed and be yourself as much as possible. Anytime you feel like you're getting taken off balance, if you're getting berated by someone in a shop or you're having an argument with someone, you'll feel the shortening of breath here. So just reclaim your breath, reclaim your balance, reclaim yourself.
I love that. Yeah, 100%. Breath is everything. Yeah.
Riki, your last one.
My third one would be all about relationship with others. And that, of course, relationship with yourself. But I'd say that it's through relationship that we really get to know ourselves. So the more we dare to risk and the more we dare to be our true selves in relationship, the more we, of course, have the gift of being seen as well as the gift of seeing someone else.
Yep.
But yeah, it's through that trust and through risking being ourselves and kind of, exposing ourselves, so to speak, that we can truly connect with others.
Yep.
And sometimes hear things for the first time, because hearing something and being seen, I guess, and having a witness of ourselves is very different to the way we experience ourselves. So as soon as we dare to have witnesses in our lives and in an authentic way, I think that's a really rich and wonderful way and one of the best ways to truly know ourselves is through that exchange and connection with others.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And I agree with that, definitely. Because we don't exist on our own.
No.
Humanity isn't one person. Like, if everyone else died and it was just you, there'd be no such thing as humanity.
Yeah.
It'd just be human.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
So you're finding your place in humanity.
Yeah. And so if you were the only person on earth, you wouldn't know if you were, a good or a bad person or what, you wouldn't know anything. It's all in relation to other people that we learn about ourselves. It's, if we were just like the only person, we'd have no idea, would we? We'd just be making things up, really, wouldn't we?
Yeah. Yeah, that's really cool. I like that. And being seen is a real risk.
Huge risk.
Yeah, you find out a lot about yourself when you reveal yourself to others. And when you talked about connection, Riki, and you said exposing yourself and then you can connect. If you don't expose yourself, you can't connect. There's nothing connecting there.
Yeah.
You've kind of got these two interfaces which aren't authentic. And it's like an interaction in the shops or something where you're each following a script. That, hello, how are you? Good, thank you. Is that all? Yes, thank you. And that's it. There's no connection.
Yeah.
It's a protocol to make things efficient so that things can get done. That's all.
Yeah.
It's not for two humans to understand each other.
Yeah.
So, to really understand each other
and
understand yourself, you've got to be real.
And you've got to build that bridge rather than build a wall.
Yeah.
So,
Exactly.
Yeah. What's your third one, Kiwi?
My third one is know your source of power. So as human beings, we all want to feel powerful. As animals, we need to know what we've got power over, what we've got dominion over. So if I were a shark, a great white shark, I'd be the apex predator. I'd just do whatever I want. I'd need to know my place a little bit more if I were a little lobster, for example. I'd need to hide from nets and I'd need to avoid certain predators. And there's other things that I can pick on with my little pincers. And that would be my source of power, my pincers and my shell and all that sort of stuff. As humans, sadly, we want to be better than other people quite often because we feel that our source of power is a relative thing. So we think that we can be more powerful by being better than others. So it's really important to understand what makes you better, what makes you a good animal. So, for example, someone might be like, I'm this height, I'm really, really strong, I'm an excellent tennis player. And that's their source of power, the fact that they've won the most Wimbledon titles. And it's dangerous if that's what your self-esteem hinges on. But it's really important to know, just a bit like Riki's first point about understanding the body, to understand how it dictates what you do. It's really important to understand how your ego dictates what you do. So if you understand your source of power, you'll understand a lot more of your behaviors. For example, you might be the smart kid in class. So your self-esteem comes from topping the class and getting the best marks, and then all of a sudden a new kid transfers and they're smarter than you. What happens to your identity? You no longer know yourself because that's not yourself. I'm not the second smartest kid. I'm the smartest kid. So all of a sudden you're lost. It might be your looks. You always got by on your looks. All of a sudden there's someone better looking than you. You move to another town where everyone's more attractive than you. You're like, I've lost my identity. I've lost my motivation. I've lost what drives me. So it's really important to know what makes you feel powerful. And then you can understand your motivations. And then you can also break away from that. Then you can go, okay, that's pretty silly. That's pretty superficial. Okay, I felt powerful because I had a lot of money. I know that money's not everything. Therefore, I'm going to reshape myself. And you can change. But you've got to know the game to break the game. I was going to use that for Ricky's first point too. Know the game so you can break the game.
Yeah.
And with power, especially when you hit puberty, it's really important to know why you've got your self-esteem. What is your source of self-esteem? And then you can, I guess, find better sources, more sustainable sources. Yeah. So if you think you're a somebody because of the car you drive, the OnlyFans model that you're dating, that sort of thing, not saying there's anything wrong with that, but just be careful. That's all. Hopefully it's sustainable for you. And if it isn't, that's okay. You've understood the game. Now you can break the game.
Yeah, I like that, to know what and to see powers that you have that you might be using that aren't necessarily going to be beneficial for you or others around you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And your power might be limited. It might not scale to the rest of your life. Like, I'm really fast. When kids have a lot of self-esteem because they're fast, you're probably a big fish in a small pond. You get to Olympic level, you're the slowest guy there. You're an embarrassment to your country, right? That's what it would look like, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
And imagine telling a kid that, oh gosh,
Yeah.
they'd just sink and they'd have nothing left.
Yeah.
So it's important to believe in yourself, love yourself, and just find sustainable sources of power.
So you're saying instead of focusing on those sort of skills or those things that you can display your power, you're saying that perhaps focusing on an inward power or a higher power, something that's sustainable throughout your lifetime, and focusing on more of the invisible kind of powers rather than something that you can put on your sleeve, a badge, and say, well, I did this.
Look, it's a journey. So it's going to start off as you discovering your body as a child and going, I'm good at doing this. I remember meeting one of our neighbours, and she was really cute, and I think she was about 3, going, I can hop. And she got on one foot and started hopping for me. And it was just such a proud moment for her. It was adorable. And over time, you build those skills. You understand what I'm good at, whatever it is. It could be an intellectual pursuit, could be an athletic pursuit. But over time, and those things are good. They kind of show what kind of animal you are. This 3D avatar that you're born into, we've got different brains. Your brain's better at some things, mine's better at others. Your body's better at some things, mine's better at others. Know that stuff. Get self-esteem from it. But if it's the be-all, end-all, it's very limited.
Yeah.
The nature of power and energy is that it's meant to flow. Energy flows. That's what it does. It's not meant to be stuck. I mean, a battery is something that's meant to be used. And it's meant to flow into the system. All through the universe, the sun doesn't keep its light to itself, does it? The stars don't keep the light to themselves. They shine their light because physics. And you look at the planet, things evolve. We get sunlight, photosynthesis, animals evolve, blah, blah, blah. We've got this. Energy is meant to flow. So you use your power to flow. That's really important. Don't hold it all for yourself. Squash other people down, thinking that you're better than others. And the thing that gets power moving the best through humans, it's something called humility. Be humble. When you're humble, you understand power. You understand how to share it. That's one of the secrets to life, knowing how to share power, letting that flow. And your greatness will start flowing from this physical self to your spiritual self. You'll become a better human being, more than just an animal. You'll be a spiritual being.
And so spiritual power is the ultimate goal in terms of,
I think,
spiritual.
One of the first things I said in this video was it's all about consciousness and being conscious. If we're just going to break everything down now and just jump to the ending, it's all about raising your consciousness. The meaning of life for humans is to elevate our consciousness. The best way to do that is understanding ourselves at all levels and keep going up and up and up and up. Yeah. That's woo-woo, I know. But
no, I like it. I love it.
That's where I am. That's where I am in my life. I'm trying to be a better person. I'm trying to share as much as I can. Whatever gifts I've got that I've been given by nature, I'm trying to share them as much as I can. Just help others and connect with others and make humanity a better collective.
Gorgeous.
Thanks, Riki.
Thanks, Kiwi.
So how are you finding yourself? leave a comment down below. We'd love to know what your journey looks like. If you like this video, please give us a thumbs up, consider subscribing, and we'll see you in the next one. Thank you.
Thank you.